Morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in time and space. Welcome to Just the Word TV, and thank you for joining our daily morning devotion. This channel is built on one mission to help you hear what God actually said, not tradition, and just the Word. So, today we're moving into Proverbs chapter 7. And to truly understand the weight of Proverbs chapter 7, we have to first look at where Solomon has already led us. In the preceding chapters, specifically Proverbs chapter 5 and 6, the father figure has been systematically dismantling the mechanism of human folly. Proverbs 5 addressed the danger of unguarded desire, warning against the strange woman and the destruction of one's resources and reputation. It focused on the external threat meeting an internal lack of discipline. Proverbs 6 moved the camera inward, focusing on internal character decay. It dealt with financial entanglements, laziness, which was described as a sluggard, and the six things that the Lord hates, or the seven things that He calls to that he basically hates, showing that ruin often starts with a corrupt heart before it ever manifests into a scandalous act. So, when we arrive at Proverbs chapter 7, Solomon is not introducing a new topic. He's not merely repeating the warnings of sexual immorality found in chapter 5. Instead, chapter 7 answers a critical question that arises from the previous teachings. Why do people who know better still fail? We all know individuals who have sat under wise teachings, who knew the consequences of adultery, fraud, or deceit, yet who still destroy their lives. Proverbs chapter 7 reveals that the issue is rarely ignorance, the issue is a lack of preparation. Solomon suggests that knowing wisdom intellectually is insufficient protection against the pressure of the moment. If wisdom is merely a set of rules stored in the memory, it will fail when emotions run high. Our our topic passage for today, looking at verses 1 to 5 of Proverbs chapter 7, argues that protection comes only when wisdom is internalized to the point of intimacy. These opening verses are not about battling temptation, they are about the preparation required before the temptation ever arrives. So, the young man described later in this chapter from verses 6 to 27 is not portrayed as evil or malicious, he is portrayed as void of understanding. He is naive. He walks near the trap because he does not respect the danger. This highlights the central thesis of verses 1 to 5. The failure of moral defense is caused by distance from wisdom. When wisdom is kept at arm's length, viewed as a textbook to study or a rulebook to obey, it cannot compete with the visceral, immediate appeal of sin. Sin offers immediate gratification. Wisdom must offer something stronger. Solomon's instruction here is to close the gap. He commands the listener to move wisdom from the head, which is knowledge, to the heart, which is nature. He argues that unless wisdom becomes part of your identity, you will eventually be outmaneuvered by folly. So, going verse by verse, right? My son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye. So the instruction begins with the verbs keep and lay up. To lay up implies storing something of great value, like treasure hidden for a future need. This suggests that the student must value the instruction before they need it. If you only look for wisdom when you are already in a crisis, you are already too late. In verse 2, Solomon equates obedience with survival. Keep my commandments and live. In our modern context, we often view commandments as restrictions that limit our freedom or kill our fun. Solomon flips this perspective. He asserts that the commandments are life preservers. To discard them is to choose a path of self destruction. Then he uses a powerful metaphor. Keep my law as the apple of thine eye. Anatomically, the apple of the eye refers to the pupil, the aperture which allows light in, enabling sight. It is the most sensitive and protected part of the human body. When something flies towards your eye, your body reacts instantly and reflectively to protect it. You do not have to think about blinking. It is an instinctual defense mechanism. By using this phrase, Solomon is teaching us that we must protect our wisdom with the same ferocity and instinct that we protect our physical sight. We must be hypersensitive to anything that threatens our adherence to God's law. If wisdom is the apple of your eye, you do not flirt with things that might change it, that might damage it. You recoil from them instinctively. Next, verse 3. Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thine heart. Here, the preparation moves from value to placement. Solomon commands that wisdom be placed in two specific locations, the fingers and the heart. Bind them upon thy fingers speaks to the external action and dexterity. The fingers are the primary tools of human agency. They are how we touch the world, how we work, and how we build. Binding wisdom to the fingers suggests that wisdom must control our practical daily actions. It suggests that our finest motor skills, our handling of money, our typing of messages, our physical interactions must be literally bound by wise principles. It acts as a reminder that everything we touch should be influenced by the wisdom we possess. Write them upon the table of thine heart speaks to internal affliction and will. In Hebrew thought, the heart is the seat of the will and intellect, not just emotions. So write something on the heart means to engrave it into your character. If wisdom is only bound on the fingers, basically just behavior modifications, external behavior modifications, but not written on the heart, the defense is hollow. It becomes hypocrisy. True preparations requires that the external action, the fingers, matches the internal reality, the heart. Next, verse 4. Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman. This is perhaps the most striking metaphor in the passage. Solomon commands the listener to relationalize wisdom. He does not say, call wisdom your master, or call wisdom your judge. He says, call wisdom your sister. In the ancient Near Eastern context, the relationship with a sister or kinswoman implies a bond of protection, loyalty, and non-sexual intimacy. It is a relationship of safety and familiarity. So this is perfect, and this is for anyone who thought of wisdom being a woman, and being intimate meant that it was a sexual type of thing. No, the intimacy that we're talking about when you're interacting with wisdom is something that is non-sexual. Think about it as if you're interacting with your sister. You're interacting with someone that is your relative. When you're interacting with someone that is your relative, it does not have to be. It is not something that is sexual, but it's still something that is intimate. It is still something that is personal, that is close. So it feels safe and familiar. That's how wisdom is supposed to feel to you. The same way that you're able to maybe confide in your sister, maybe confide in your family member. It's the same way that wisdom wants you to confide in it. The same way that wisdom wants you to look at it. In the sense that it's not a sexual interaction that you're dealing with here. It's more of a familial type of interaction. One that feels safe. One that feels that one of loyalty. One the same feeling that you feel when you hopefully that same good feeling that you feel when you're around your family is the same feeling that wisdom is supposed to give you. That feeling of when you're with your family, you feel comfortable. That you don't need to put on a mask. You don't need to feel fake. You don't need to hide who you are. And why is Solomon using this familial language? Because the strange woman is about to offer a counterfeit intimacy. She will offer connection, acceptance, and pleasure. If you are lonely, isolated, or disconnected from truth, her offer will be irresistible. However, if you have already cultivated an intimate familial bond with wisdom, if wisdom is your sister, you're not starving for connection. You are already at home with truth. You cannot be easily seduced by a stranger when you are satisfied at home. Solomon is teaching that the only thing strong enough to repel a negative relationship, which is a strange woman, is a positive, stronger relationship with wisdom. And the final verse for today. That they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. And verse 5 provides the so that, the goal of all this preparation, the treasuring, the binding, the writing, the relational bonding, is to create an immunity against the strange woman. While the text certainly applies to sexual adultery, the strange woman in Proverbs serves as an archetype for any seductive voice that promises to gain without cost. She represents the sales pitch of sin. She represents the idea that you can have the pleasure of the moment without the payment of the consequence. This voice flatters. It tells you that you are special, that the rules don't apply to you, or that no one will know. Without the preparations of verses 1 to 4, this flattery is incredibly effective. It bypasses the intellect and appeals to the ego. But for the person who has written wisdom on their heart, the flattery rings false. They recognize the voice of the stranger because they know the voice of the sister. It is vital to understand that the strange woman is not the beginning of the problem, she is the revealer of the problem. Solomon's teaching emphasizes that moral failure is a process. It is rarely a surprise attack. The collapse happens long before the actual act of sin. This is what we discussed before in Proverbs chapter 6, that slow decay of character. So the collapse happens when we stop valuing the commandments. We stop protecting our conscience like the apple of our eye. We stop letting wisdom guide our daily actions and inner heart. And we lose relational intimacy with the truth. Once those four pillars of preparation are removed, we are defenseless. The strange woman merely walks through an open door. So to conclude, Proverbs chapter 7 from verses 1 to 5 lays out the defense. The remainder of the chapter that we're going to go through piece by piece, verses 6 to 27, provides a tragic case study of what happens when this defense is absent. Solomon describes a young man who is void of understanding. He has not bound wisdom to his fingers or written it on his heart. Because he lacks this preparation, he wanders into the street near a corner. He drifts. When the temptation appears, he has no anchor, no familiar bond with wisdom to hold him back. He follows the seduction, as an ox goeth to the slaughter. The terrifying reality of the case study is how easily the young man falls. There is no great struggle mentioned, no wrestling with conscience. He falls because he is empty. Proverbs chapter 7, 1 to 5 is the antidote to that emptiness. It teaches us that the battle against temptation is won in the morning, in the quiet, and in the study, long before the crisis of the night arrives. We prepare by making wisdom our treasure, our instinct, our habit, and our family. So I hope the first 5 verses of chapter 7 was able to prepare you for the fact that we are making sure that we can protect ourselves, right? The main thing that we want to do is making sure that we can protect ourselves and making sure that we have some type of defense ready. So it means nothing, right? It means absolutely nothing if we are constantly learning about the things of God, constantly transforming our character to reflect that of God, and we have no type of defense mechanism. Can I put this out to you? I'll say this, I don't know about women, but I know for men it's absolutely true. When you are walking with God as a man of God, you are target number one. You are enemy number one. You are enemy number one to the adulteress. You are enemy number one to the strange woman. Why is that? Because you are something to take down. You are something that needs to be taken down in that sense. Your light is shining too bright, right? And that is the one thing that Jesus tells us, that prepare. Blessed are those who basically are persecuted for my sake, for Jesus' sake. Because once you start to put on that character, adorn that character that Jesus basically patterned out for us, you begin to blind the eyes of some people, and not blind them and make them want to understand it. No. Blind them to the point where they want to take something and out your light. That's why defense is important. You may be someone who, and I'm speaking from personal experience here, people, you cannot bother people. You can leave people alone. You can decide that you're going to go and walk your own lane. You can just stay out of the mix, right? Just study your Bible, read your Bible, stay out of it. And still, you will be attacked. Still, I'm still talked about, I'm still attacked. So, regardless of how much I've built up the wisdom of God into my system, I need to make sure that I have some defense, that I understand that because you're choosing to be a man of God, you are choosing for attacks to come your way. But the thing is, I'm okay with that, because every time I'm attacked, it's only building my character, because I'm seeing it through the perspective of God. This is only building my character. It's only making my defenses that much stronger, so that when it's time to pour out of me, when it's time for me to give a word, when it's time for me to do anything that requires God's, everything requires God's presence. But when it's time for me to engage and to interact, I don't have to fear. I don't have to worry about, well, is this person going to attack me? Bring the attacks. bring it on, because all it's going to do, it's going to first and foremost show me where my defense needs work. And trust me, I've been attacked enough at this point in time to reestablish and to format my defense to make sure that I can still operate as a man of God, but still make sure that that character, that work that I've been putting together stays protected. So all of this is for us to understand one very important thing. We want to make sure that we cover our defensive head, our defenseless heads, right? And when we sing that song, cover my defensive head, cover my defenseless head with the shadow of thy wing. All you're asking God to do is, as I am moving and I am developing my character to reflect as much as possible you, cover my head, defend me, prepare me for the enemy. Because the strange woman that we're going to learn about in the next verses from 6 to 27, we're going to see how easy it is. And if you don't have no defense, right? If you have no defense, if you're not playing with any type of defense, you'll be led straight off a cliff. And I'm saying this with such passion right now because I was one with no defense. I was a person with no defense, with nothing. I'm just going with the flow. I'm going with the flow because I want people to like me. I'm going with the flow because I don't want to step on any toes. I'm going with the flow because I don't want to, I'm stepping and dancing around eggshells. Now I know that proper defense means that I'm stepping on eggshells. It means that I might step on some toes, because sometimes the path that you're walking on, people are going to put their foot out for you to fall, and that's the trip. That's what they're trying to do, trying to trip up your character. But if you know better and you understand, you start to see these feet in your way, and you're just gonna step on them. You're gonna step on those toes. You're gonna see these eggs that people have put out in front of you, to maybe for you to step around. You're gonna smash right on it, because when you're walking with God, it doesn't matter what's in your way. Let me tell you that much. And when you're walking with God, it don't matter who's in your way. It don't matter what situation's in your way. It don't matter what group has decided to come against you to try to stop you. It don't matter, because it's all good. Once you understand that defense that God has prepared for you, we're going to understand this. This is an important chapter, especially for all those men of God out there that are really trying to work and actually trying to do the things of God. The next devotion, tomorrow's devotion, is going to be for you, because it's going to help you understand that defense is super important. Don't just read your Bible, right? Don't just read your Bible. Learn about the defense. Learn about that discernment, so that when you see certain things, you can walk away. So that when you hear certain things, you can walk away, right? So, all that being said, until next time, everyone, stay grounded, stay humbled, and above all else, stay aligned with just the word. Thank you.